To you all. I hope you guys are doing well. All right, let's take a look here where we're at. Yeah, this is where you guys are, Math 227. And then, well, let's go over here to the iPad, and I kind of know where we're at, so let's ask you guys this question here. Where do we leave off? Do you guys recall? Yeah. Right. Now, we did summarize data. Is that right? And if I said to you, what are some summaries? Well, we looked at the what? The mean, median, and the mode. However, what we're going to look at, we're going to look for this group data. You guys are group data. This is your guys' notes. But I'm going to go back to our group data. And remember this distribution. Okay, I'm going to go back here. And this data was about your ages, is that right? So what I have here today for us is the mean for group data. So this is what we want to talk about. So let me paste this for you and remind you that we have a way to summarize even, group data. This is going to be a big deal as well. So if I say to you, remember, X represents your age. So they want to know now, what is the mean age? Let's get rid of you. We tried to. What is the mean age in this class here? So yes, we already know we have a whole bunch of bins. Is that right? And we have the frequency, and we have what does M represent again? What's your M here for group data? Anybody remember what M represents by any chance? Isn't that, what does M represent? This is the value that best represents your bin. I'm gonna highlight this what? Red. M is a midpoint. Is that true? So for example, the first bin, the midpoint is what? 19.5. The second bin, your midpoint is what? 23.5. Why is that actually important? Right? You're going to see today why you guys really care about that. Okay? What's the third bin? It holds people between the ages of what? Right? Let me go back again and really emphasize this, right? Your first bin holds people 18 to 21, but the midpoint is the value that best represents that bin. So we're thinking that 13 people are 19.5 years of age. Is that true? Guess what I'm saying? Yet the second bin holds data that's what? 22 to 25. Now we're thinking that 6 people are really what? 23.5 years. And then again, the third bin now is 26 to 29. And the midpoint's 27.5. So we're thinking that number, 27.5, best represents people in that third bin. The fourth bin, ladies and gentlemen, holds 30 to 33. We're thinking that, there's 3 people that are 31.5 years. Finally, the last bin holds people 34 to 37. We're thinking there's 4 people that are 35.5, excuse me. So the midpoint best represents your bin, like summarizes the bin. Now that's going to be an important thing because you have what's called group data. Okay? This is group data. Data organized in what? Bins. But they now also want to ask you, what is the what? The mean for group data. Okay, so last week you guys had the definition of the mean. And now we're going to have to find the mean, but this time for group data. So what they really mean by that is, remember last week you had individual data, and the mean, you had a formula for that, that mean. What did you guys have to do? You added all of the data values. Notice I did that sum x, and then you divided by the what? By the sample size. That was what you did when? Last week. All right, you guys okay with that one? You see what I'm saying? Now, you can't use this formula very easily because you don't have individual data. You have what? You have data organized in groups. You guys see the difference? All right. So here's the fix. Okay, we're going to have to fix this formula. When you have group data, you take the sum of the frequency times the what? The midpoint, and you divide by the sample size. Now, this is what we use when we have group data. Okay, so I'm going to have to move this. And that's what you want to use today. Group data. Now, all right. Whoa, where'd you go? Okay, you guys see what we're doing here? So, where is your frequency? See this? There's my frequency values. And then I'm going to have to pick a color. I don't know. I'm going to use pink or something. I'm going to change this. This is pink for the midpoint. So I'm going to have to use the midpoints. Okay, so far so good. Now I'm going to have to create a what kind of column now? You guys notice, what do I need? Because I can't just do my work. I have to do what now? Frequency times the midpoint. So, okay, this is what we're looking at here on this right side here. So if you guys say, well, how do I compute a mean when it has group data? That's this side that you're looking at over here. I need the FM column. F is frequency. M is what? Midpoint. So I'm going to take 13 times what? 19.5. So say I have to take the 13 and I multiply it with 19.5. Yes. But what do I recommend you actually do that? In the what? In your calculator. So 13 times 19.5, what do you guys get? You guys see that there? 253 point what? 5? All right. And then what's the next FM value, frequency times midpoint? Isn't that 6 times 23.5? So you're going to say what? 6 times 23.5? And you get now what? Okay, good. Okay, what's the next frequency times the midpoint? Isn't that 4 times 27.5? All right. And what's this? Is that 110? All right. And then what's the next frequency times the midpoint? 3 times what? 31.5? Okay. We now get what? 94.5? Okay, what's the next one? 4 times what? That's 35.5, by the way. Frequency times the midpoint, what do you get now? 142, it looks like. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, these are all the numbers I need here to compute the mean, because I can't use the past formula that we have because we have group data. This is different data. It's grouped. So, okay, what do we now do with these numbers here? We're going to have to try to find a color. I don't know, yellow or something. See all these numbers? What do I do with them? This is the yellow there. What does that sigma say? Or better yet, what does the sigma mean? What does sigma mean? Sigma means to do what? To sum, to add. Is that right? So I'm going to have to add all of these yellow numbers, add them. And then I have to divide by, what does it mean here? To divide by, what is n? I have to divide by the what? No, n is what? N is in frequency. What is n? What's the sample size? If you don't know, what can you do? Yes, you can do what? You can add your what? Frequencies. Is that true? So where are the frequencies are over here in gray. So essentially, all the work, if I add even that, this is my numerator, my denominator. The sum of the frequencies is the sample size. All right. Now, can I add that? Maybe can I add the frequencies quickly in my head? Yeah. What is that? What is that going to be? What is the sum of the frequencies? 13 plus 6 is what? 19. 19 plus 4 is 23. 23 plus 3 is 26. 26 plus 6 plus 4 is what? So, ladies and gentlemen, my denominator here is going to be what? 30. I just don't know the numerator very well. So I can add the sum of the frequencies, and that gives me my sample size. Nice. That's the n. Okay, sum of the frequencies. Good. Now let's get this numerator here. We're going to have to add all the yellow values now. All right. Okay. Clear that out. And here we go. 253 point what? 5 plus 141 plus 110 plus 94.5 plus 142. And what is that number? 741. Do we add these correctly? $741. Okay. Let's get that there. So this is the sum of the frequency times the midpoints. So the ratio of 741 now to 30. Divide that. What do you get? 24 point what? 7. Here we go. So the average age of people in this room is 24.7 what? Years. Okay? 24.7 years. So this is going to be the mean formula whenever you have what? Group data. So we get to summarize group data as well. Summarize these tables. Okay? So this is the formula you guys need. Anybody have any questions on that one? Okay, I'm going to test you guys now. Can you use the formula? So, like if I ask this question, I'm going to do this. Here's the essence of the question. People, how far do you live from campus? Nope. Nope, be careful. Okay, you don't say 3 days by horse, right? How far do you live from campus? What's a how far question? It's distance. Yes, that's what I'm getting at. But notice how many people never give distance. What do they give? Time. 4 days by carriage. You guys know what I'm saying? So they're really asking you maybe in terms of miles. Isn't that a unit of distance? So let's pretend we gathered data, but we had to group the data. Anybody here live far away from campus? Who lives far? Anybody far, huh? I'm not going to say time, though. I mean miles. I had a student, she used to live in, she used to take 3 buses. I think she lived somewhere in Ontario to get here. Okay? So I don't know. So if I were to gather data, I want data in terms of miles, right? So let's say, for example, someone says 0 to maybe 4 miles, 5 to 9, 10 to 14, 15 to 19, and 20 maybe to 24 miles. So what I want to just remark is that this data was gathered. I pretend to gather data. And of course, we have a frequency here. Okay. And I'm pretending here, but this is the essence of the question. Let's say there was 12 people, 8, 3, 6, 4, and 2. Okay. Anybody live more than that, 29 miles away from campus? Okay, there might be. I've had people from the valley come to take my classes. Okay, you have people from Pasadena, people from, Ontario, people far away. So anyway, this is the essence of this kind of question. How far do you live from campus? We want to compute the what? The mean. So I'm going to ask you guys, what is the mean for this distribution? want to test you guys on the formula I just gave you. All right, can you actually use the formula I gave you? Yes. So let's give you guys some time, and then let's see how this goes. Use the formula we just talked about, okay? Let's see what you guys get. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Now, here we go. Let's go with this here. Remember, what kind of data do you have? How do you know you have group data? Because that's true. How do you know data is in a group? Because they have bins, 0 to 4, is that right? 5 to 9. So you have group data. If you have group data, this is why I have you guys practice this formula. Okay? So here we go. So here's my point again. You're going to have to use this formula, the group data mean formula. But notice, what do you need to use it? You need the what? Well, you have all the frequency values. What do you need? What's the M stand for? Midpoint. Good. So I need midpoints for the bins. So M is for midpoint. Did you guys get the midpoints? Well, remember, if you have a question, you raise your what? Hand, right? Well, remember, and you don't remark. It's not a two-way conversation. There's about 30, 40 people here. Is that right? So remember here, you're going to have to get these midpoints. Right? So how do you get the midpoints? You have to do what? You add the bin limits, you divide by 2. So 0 plus 4 is going to give you what? 4, is that right? And you divide by 2, what does that give you? Good. There we go. All right. Now, what's the next? Right? It's going to be what? 5 and what? 9. What's 5 plus 9? 14 divided by 2 is? Good. Okay. Now again, what do? 10 and 14 gives you what? Is that 24? What's 24 divided by 2? Is that what? 12. Now, does anybody notice any pattern here? I think for me, what do we notice? The bin width, if I want to say this, right? The bin width is going to be what? 5. How do you know your bin width is 5? Remember the definition of bin width, right? 5 minus 0, the difference between adjacent lower class limits. So 5 minus 0 is going to be 5. Is that true? Why am I pointing that out? Why do you guys think I'm pointing it out? Can I keep adding multiples of 5 here? Right? So what's the next midpoint going to be? And then. So this is how we get what? The midpoints. All right, you guys okay with that? That's how you get your midpoint. So just want to remember, you want to go through this. Now, did anybody get the mean for some of those homework? You have to do that this way. You might have noticed that, right? Okay, so now here's what we're going to do, right? So we have the midpoints. And then what are you going to do now? We need now the what? Frequency times the midpoint. Is that right? So I'm going to have to do what with these numbers now? Right? We're going to have to do, this is using the formula that we gave you. 12 times 2. What's 12 times 2? Is that 24? Now, if you don't know that, could you use the calculator? Right? Can you say, oh, this is 12 times what? 2? Is that true? Right? You guys see what I'm saying? So what about the next one? What's 8 times 7? See, sometimes you're kind of lucky and you can do what? You can do the arithmetic yourself, right? Not all the time, though. So, yes, you can use your calculator and you can say what? 8 times 7. That's going to give you a what? 56. So what's the next one going to be? What's 3 times 12? Okay. And then 6 times 17. Right? You say 6 times what? 17. What does that give you? Is that 102? Okay, what's 4 times 22? You say, I can handle that one. That's 88. Okay. Then what's 2 times 27? If you don't know that, could you use a calculator and say 2 times what? 27? Yes, you can. You get 54. There we go. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's take a look at that here. This is what I'm saying. You're going to need to do what? Let's get the right color here. When finding the mean for group data, you're going to need to do some what? Right up in here, find the midpoint for your bins, and then time that frequency times the midpoint. Because right in here again, this means to sum the what? We need to get 2 numbers now, right? What are the numbers? Yeah, frequency times the what? Midpoint. Divided by the sample size. So you're using this formula. Let's put this here. For what kind of data? Data that's organized how? Into bins. For group data or bin data. So they can give you a bin or a group already and they ask you to do this. Find the mean. Okay, you guys okay with that? And there you go. So, all right, what do you guys do next? You guys know? I'm going to get this here. What would you do next? Don't we have to add all these values here? Don't we have to add all these values here as well? Right? All right. So, okay, let's start with the what? The first one, right? Let's start with the 24. Now, we're going to probably have to use a calculator for this. So, we're going to say 24 plus 56 plus 36 plus 102 plus 88 plus 54. And what does that sum give you? All right, so that's my numerator. This is the 360 here. All right, so far so good. Okay, what's the sample size though? I mean, I can use my calculator. We say 12 plus 8 plus 3 plus what? 6 plus 4 plus 2. What do you get? 35. Okay. All right, let's get that out of the way. Okay. So this is going to be 360 over 35. Now, they didn't tell us where to approximate. We're going to do the thousands, though. So you're going to go to your calculator, and you're going to say what? 360 divided by what? 35. And what is the final answer here? 10 point what? 10 point what? 3. Okay, 10.3. So this is the process you need to do to find the mean for what? For grouped data. All right, you guys okay with that? And I'm going to remark about this formula here. This is called the way, by the way. This mean formula, this is also known as a weighted mean. It's AKA a weighted mean. So to let you know, you got this what? This W with the bar, WX over sum of W. Okay, because N, sometimes they replace this N. You might see in the book, they use it this way. This would be the sum of the frequencies, because we know that's the sample size here. So this is what I'm saying. This is AKA a weighted mean. So there might be some courses you guys take where there'll be a weighted what? Mean. Okay. So another example, and I'll say to you, do we ever see weighted means in the real world? And the answer is yes. So if I were to ask you guys this question here, this is an example of a weighted mean here, right? What is your GP what? A. Does anybody know what GPA stands for? What does that stand for? GPA. What is it? Yes, you got something on grade point what? Average. So what's your GPA? Does anybody know? Anybody know their GPA? What is it? 4.0? Wow. What does that mean? I don't know what does a GPA of 4.0 really mean? Do you guys know what I'm saying? Though it's a numerical system that describes to people how well you do in your courses. So it's a single number, it's a summary of how well you do, right? It's called the grade point average. Do you guys know the grade point average, how they compute it is What you guys are looking at right here, it's a weighted mean. It's an example of what we just did. It's completely very similar to what we did. So GPA, for example, if I said to you, who should we use? Miley Cyrus? Let's say Miley Cyrus is going to college, and we're going to list her courses. Miley is taking what? English. She's taking what? Statistics. What else do you think she's taking? Science. Okay. She's taking PE. And maybe she's taking what? Health. Okay, you guys okay with that? Now, remember something here, ladies and gentlemen. Each course has what? Units. Is that true? So how many units is English? 3. How many units is stats? What about science? 3. PE? 1. What about health? 2. Okay, you guys with me on that? This is kind of what I would say a report card looks, or a list of the courses. Don't they actually have the units next to them? What do you think the meaning of units really is? What are the units? Why do they have different units? Why are they different? Anybody know? What's that? Nope. It's not based on difficulty. Yes, it's based on time. So how this used to be in the traditional model is like English met for 3 hours, okay, a week. It's class time. Statistics meets for what? 4 hours a week. Science would meet for 3 hours, PE 1 hour a week, and health 2 hours a week. So, ladies and gentlemen, here's what I'm getting at. The units are known as the what? As the weights. Okay? Units are known as weights. You ever hear somebody ask you, hey, what's your load like this semester? Your load. What are they saying when they ask your load? What do you think that is? What is the load? It's the number of units you're taking in a semester. You ever hear the phrase a heavy load? Right? You ever hear the phrase that, a heavy load? You ever hear the phrase a full load? How about a part-time load? You know what they're asking you to do? Add the units. So let's look at Miley Cyrus and let's ask Miley. Miley, what's your load, Miley, this semester? What do you think she would say? All right, she's going to say what? I'm going to have to add my what? Add the weights. Let's find Miley's load. What is it? What's her load going to be? Anybody know? She's taking 13 units. How do you know that number's 13? You added what? 3 and 4, which is 7, plus 3 is 10, 11, 12. You're right, that's 13. She's taking 13 units. What does that mean that she's taking 13 units? What does that mean? What do you guys think? Huh? Yeah, what does it mean to be a full-time? How many units do you have to take to be full-time? Is it 12 units? 12 units or more, is that right? Okay, good. So it looks like Miley's what? She's a full-time student. Good for Miley. Okay. Now, here's what I'm going to say to you. We're going to pretend now Miley has earned her what now? Her grades, okay? And Miley, let's say, what did Miley get in English? What do you think she got? Maybe a B? So Miley got a B. You guys okay with that? Okay. What do you think she got in statistics? She got an A. You know why she got an A? She gets to use a calculator. Oh my God. In math, you use a calculator and you get a D? I don't think so. What do you think she got in science? A C. PE. Oh, she didn't address. Maybe she got then a what? Fantastic. In health, she has a what? A D. Now, I know you guys are looking at that and you go, oh my God, that looks pretty mean. It's actually not. I'm doing this for a very good reason. Okay? I'm doing this for a very, very good reason. It looks like we're kind of out of space there. So why do you think I'm doing that, giving her all these grades like this? Anybody know? Because every grade, this is like, for example, I would say to you, is her data. So you gather data on her grades. That's the X value in the weighted mean formula. You know, so that's like the data value right in there. And you go, well, how do I use that? It's a letter. Well, when you ask people GPA questions, they don't give you a letter. They give you a what? A number, don't they? So somehow the letter grades got converted to what? Numbers. And that's what we want to do. So when you give a GPA, it's a number. So that means the grades get assigned numbers. So this is why I actually did what I did. I want to go through every letter, A, B, C, D, and F, so that you guys know the numbers. So on a, what's the value of a B? Does anybody know? How many points is a B worth? It's how many points? 3 points, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, you guys, you want to learn this. I even have homework on it. How many points are an A? How many points are a C? How many points are fantastic? How about a D? So what I'm going to say to you guys, you want to learn this system because you're college students and, you know, this is the system that gives you your GPA, grade point average. Should be a graduation requirement. Right? So we have all the information now to do what? To compute Miley's GPA. You say, how do we know? Because we know the sum of her weights. How many units is she taking? She's taking 13. Is that true? So we already know that piece of information. We're going to divide the numerator by 13. That's the sum of her weights. Okay, you guys okay with that one? Now, what's this sum WX? What do I need? I need another column, don't I? What column do I need to be able to do this? Yeah. I'm going to need another column. I'm going to need the WX column. What is WX? It is the weight times the grade. So I have to take 3 times 3, and what does that give you? Good. You guys okay with that? I take now what? 4 times 4. What does that give you? Okay, good. 3 times 2. What does that give you? Is that 6? What's 1 times 0? And then what's 2 times 1? So, sometimes you don't have to use a calculator for everything. Sometimes you could do this arithmetic yourself. Is that right? What do you think I have to do with these numbers now? The WX values. What do I do with these numbers? You add them? Because we need the sum WX column. Sigma WX. You're right. We have to add those numbers. So we're going to look for that value. And what is that going to give us? Let's try to do that again here. Right? We're going to have to add 9. We're going to add all those numbers. Hard to see, so I'm going to get rid of that. Okay, I'm going to use the TI. Okay, so I'm going to say what now? 9 plus what? Plus. And what does that give you? 9 plus 16 plus 6 plus 0 plus 2? We get now what? Is that 33? You okay with that? So that numerator is what? 33. We needed to always use, this is a weighted mean. We got to use those weights. Okay. Some of the weights. Good. Now, what is 33 divided by 13? Okay. So you take the 33, you divide by the weight, 13, and you give your answer to the nearest what? Hundredths. You guys ever notice the GPA is in the nearest hundredths? Anybody ever look at their grade point average on your report card? Right? 2.5. This is to the nearest hundredths, by the way. Right? 2.5. The 3 is in the hundredths position. The digit to the right's an 8. So you know what Miley's GPA is? 2.54. So what does that actually mean that Miley has a GPA of 2.54? What kind of student is Miley? Right? When you have a GPA and you communicate that to people, that has meaning. So what do you think that means? Go back to these values. What is a 2? It's a C. Good. What is a 3? A B. So 2.54 is like in the middle. Is that right? So she's kind of midway between a C and a B. So in other words, that's how you want to think about it. Like, oh, it's really, you can say she's between a C and a B. No, it's in the middle. Okay, being in the middle is like 2.54. It's close to 2.5. So she's midway between a B and a what? And a C. Okay, that's Miley Cyrus. What do you guys think? Is that hard? It's Miley. Is that a good GPA? I don't know. So if we compared GPAs, let's look at now Hannah. If I ask you guys this question here. Hannah Montana. Good old Hannah. She's also taking courses. Let's see what kind of courses Hannah is taking. Hannah, what is she taking? Maybe she's taking Spanish. She's taking statistics. Or how about even better? She's taking dance. Oh, she's going to take calculus. Okay. And let's say she's taking also history. And what else could she be taking? Let's say biology. Okay, do you guys happen to know the loads for these? What are the loads? When I say units, what are the weights? How many units is Spanish? Do you guys know? What's Spanish? Is it 3 units? Dance? 2. Okay, calculus is 5. History? 3. What about bio? Are we taking biology? Is it 5 units, 4 units? Okay. Now let's see what kind of grades. Remember, I'm going to give A, B, C, D, F. Why would I do that? So you guys can learn the what? The system. Okay? You guys need to learn the letters and the numbers. It's something for you to learn. Okay? So like on a test, you can't come say, hey, Mr. Judge, psst, yes? Hey, how much is an A worth? Because she got an A in Spanish. I can't tell you on a test, but I can tell you when. Now, how much is an A? 4 units, or 4 points, sorry. Not units. Okay, what did she get in dance? Who is this, Hannah? All right, let's give Hannah a C. And then calculus, she got maybe a B. History, a fantastic. Bio, she got a D. Again, why do I give all these different grades? So you can learn the what? The system. All right? That's the idea. All right, so a C is worth how many points again? How much is a B? Fantastic. And then a D. Good job. Okay, good. Which one is the weight? Good. What are the grades? The data. What do you need to do with the weight and the data? Multiply them, and then you're going to do what with these answers? You're going to what? Add them. Good. Okay, good. Okay, you guys have all these down here? You guys okay with that? So you have 3, you have what? 4. What's 3 times 4? 12. What's 2 times 2? That's going to be what? 4. Notice, isn't it nice to not use a calculator for a change? Right? What's 5 times 3? And then what's 3 times 0? What's 3 times 0? And what's 4 times 1? All right. Look at that. Isn't that nice to not have to jump and use a calculator for everything? I like that. So I really like these questions. All right. Now, let's do this. We have to add the what? The weights. Is that true? This is going to tell us what kind of load Hannah is taking. And then we have to add the WX. So, okay, this is going to be the sum of the weight, sum of WX. What's the sum of the weight? What's that? 3 plus 2 is 5. 5 and 5 is 10. Oh my gosh, 17 units? Has anybody ever taken that number of units? Some people have. I have some students that have taken like 20 units, 22 units. Okay? Some people have taken 22 units. The most I ever took, I was an ELAC student. Just so you guys know, I was one of those kids. Most I took was 15. I did it only, what? Once. Never again. I also work part-time. So if I didn't work, it would have been a lot easier, I think. So, you know, every now and then you do try something crazy. So, you know, Hannah, she's really what? Wow. She's taken more units than Miley. Okay, good. So remember, in the formula, though, in that formula, you want to write down the formula. Sum WX over the sum of the weights. So the denominator is 17, but we need the numerator, don't we? Can you still do arithmetic without the calculator for the numerator? I think so. I think I can. What's 12 and 4? 16? What's 16 plus 15? 31. What's 31 plus 4? 35. So this numerator is 35, okay? Good. Well, we're going to have to use a calculator for what? For the ratio, for the fraction of 35 divided by 17. And what do you get to the nearest tenths? Anybody want to tell me? What was Hannah's GPA to the nearest what? Hundredths position, not tenths, hundredths. 2.0, is it a 5 or is it a 6? It's a 6. Good job. So this is the GPA for who? For Hannah. Let's stop and think about this, okay? Because the reason you compute a GPA, the reason you get a summary is to kind of understand the situation. What kind of student do you think Hannah was that semester? She's pretty close to what grade? C. So what I sometimes ask, what I always ask is, who was the better student in terms of GPA? You know, so it isn't just, can you compute the GPA? Yes, but who's the better student? Now, let me emphasize, because I want to really emphasize this. The WX, the numerator, is 35. The denominator, the sum of the weights, that was 17. That goes in the bottom. Okay, so I want to really emphasize that idea. It's a fraction. But, you know, the person with the higher number, like a 3.06 would be better than 2.06. That would be a B student. Okay? A students are where? In the 4.0 range. How many people are A students again? 4.0? We have one, at least one. We have any more A students? Hopefully. Okay. We have any 1.0 students? Maybe not. You guys know why? What do they do with students that have a GPA below 2.0? What do they do? Yeah, they put you on what's called probation, academic probation. And if you don't increase your GPA, then they just say goodbye. So in other words, if I were you, I would work on what? What is this? I would compute GPAs. And you might say, what do you mean? Yeah. So I put this, if you guys said,